Tonight, we have a very special edition of the Glenn Beck program. I want you to join me in the war room, which is actually our regular set. We just lit it differently. But we're going to play out some of the worst-case scenarios with some of the greatest minds around, asking ourselves one simple question. What if? Everybody always says, gee, you know, we got to bail out these banks because it'll be really bad if we don't. Well, what does it mean, really bad? And tonight we're going to think it out with the help of former CIA agents. That's some of the best money people around, military analysts, survival experts. We're going to try to show you how to prepare for the worst while everybody else is sitting back and hoping for the best. And I want you to know, everybody involved in this show is also hoping for the best. We're not doing this show to scare you tonight. Quite honestly, I'll explain at the end of the show exactly why. But I'm doing it, in a nutshell, to get you to start thinking outside of the box. In mid-January, the government war gamed out a scenario where American cities were subjected to a coordinated two-day attack. Why? Are they saying that an attack is imminent like that? No. They just understand that planning for the unthinkable will allow them to act rationally while everybody else is panicking. The truth is that you are the defender of liberty. It's not the government. It's not an army or anybody else. It's you. This is your country. So ask yourself, what kind of sentry do you want to be as you stand there at the gate? What kind of sentry do you want to post at the gate? Which one would be the right one? Somebody who refuses to consider how our country may come apart at the seams, or somebody who gets freaked out at the first sign of trouble, or somebody who has just lived by the words from former Arkansas Senator William Fulbright. He said, quote, "We must dare to think about the unthinkable things, because when things become unthinkable, thinking stops and action becomes mindless." We're making decisions right now, and I don't think we're really thinking them through. Let that not happen to us. Let's make the unthinkable thinkable for 60 minutes. And we start right now. All right. I mean, the spooky music was enough. All right. I want to stress that we are not predicting these things are going to happen. We are asking you, what do you do if they happen? Can they be prevented? Let's look at our first scenario. It's the financial meltdown. The year is 2014. All the U.S. banks have been nationalized. Unemployment is about between 12 and 20%. Dow is trading at 2,800. The real estate market has collapsed. Government and unions control most of the business, and America's credit rating has been downgraded. That's the first scenario. Joining me now is we have Stephen Moore. He is a senior economic writer for the Wall Street Journal, and Gerald Celente. He's the founder of Trends Research Institute. Gerald, gosh, you're one of the spookiest dudes I know, because for you, this is like not a war game. You think a lot of this stuff is really coming.
We're writing the history of the future.
Okay. What is life like, under that scenario, what is life like in 2014 for America?
New York City looks like Mexico City. If you have money, or they think you're going to have money, you're going to be a target for a kidnapping. We're going to see major cities look like Calcutta. There's going to be the homeless, panhandlers, hookers.
Hold on just Prozac?
The Prozac, yeah. I'll take a couple.
Prozac, America, you can have some. Okay.
It's going to be serious. It's going to be, we're going to see petty thieves, and we're going to see pickpockets.
Okay. But what does, for instance, and Stephen, tell me about first before we go back. Give me the economic. What does the economic picture look like? What has happened to us?
Well, we allowed government to run away with itself. We became consumed by debt, runaway government spending, a credit rating that's just been crushed by the overwhelming amount of debt and taxation. And you know, when you ask me about this doomsday scenario, you don't have to think about these wild thoughts. We've seen this happen to other countries. We've seen it happen to Mexico, Bolivia, Argentina, Zimbabwe, Russia, all consumed by government, all do-goodism that led to the decline of their civilization.
People say to me all the time, Glenn, we're the United States of America. I read an editorial in the New York Times that said, we don't know how these things will play out, printing all of this money.
It is uncharted territory, but here's the point.
For the United States, it's not for other countries. It has been, and it always ends the same way.
That's right. And just look at what has happened in just the last 6 months. I mean, we have printed more money and increased the debt of the country more than at any time in the first 200 years. If you stay on that path, that story does not have a happy ending.
So do we have hyperinflation with this scenario?
Could be.
Okay.
Could be. I mean, again, that's happened. In some countries, hyperinflation gets so bad, Glenn, that people have to go to the shopping stores literally with wheelbarrows full of their currency. In some countries, the people don't even use the currency. In other countries, they print the currency, but they don't put the denomination on it because they write it down on the piece of paper.
Okay.
And the currency becomes as valueless as the paper that it is printed on.
We are seeing now a Dow at, what did it close today?
7,500
7,500, 7,300,
maybe a little
something
lower.
like that. The Dow in our scenario, I think, was about 3,000. Money is, in our scenario, is really worthless because the government has debased it.
Right.
And you say that people make their own money. I just want to show this. This is a Liberty dollar. I believe the man who made this actually went to jail. Is anybody familiar with this story? He went to jail. I have this money, and this is the only thing I could find this morning. When I go out on tour or something, people will come up to me and they will hand me this money. They will hand it to me and say, brother, you got to preach on about the money. People are making bogus American money because they don't believe in it right now. This is happening.
Well, look what's going on with gold. It topped over $1,000 an ounce today, and we've been predicting this for a long time. By 2015, you're going to see gold probably at $8,000 an ounce.
And why do people buy gold? Because they don't think this is worth anything.
It's not
anymore.
worth the paper it's printed on.
Right. They don't think it's worth anything.
I mean, the New York
Times
could, they could elaborate about how you could print up cheap money and not for it to mean anything. I would say the New York Times doesn't know what they're talking about.
Right.
You
Okay.
can't print cheap money based on nothing.
Okay. So you have people printing up their own money. It's a barter system.
That's right.
At this point,
people
right?
they don't even use currency anymore. You know, you trade your good and service for plumber trades for a carton of milk.
What
like
is
that.
worth something? I mean, not everybody can go out and.
Well, gold is. These coins. Is this coin made of silver?
Yeah.
Well, then it has value. Silver has value. Gold has value. There are times when coins have become, as you know, when coins have become so debased in terms of their value, people melt them down because the copper or the silver in the
if
coin.
you have a big bag of pennies.
That's why we don't put copper in pennies anymore, because the copper was worth more than the penny is worth.
You're smiling. What do you think is?
Well, I'm right on the same page with what Stephen is saying. I mean, this isn't. We're creating a scenario for the future that's happening in the present. And that's what tracking trends is, a way of understanding where we are, seeing how we got here, and then looking where we're going. This is unprecedented. And we have people telling us, oh, don't worry, it's going to be all right. I mean, there's nothing that they could say that they've done right, and they're going to pull this one off?
Okay. The hyperinflation is caused in our scenario because nobody's loaning us money anymore.
Right.
And so when they don't loan us money anymore, when China finally says no, then we just have to print that money to cover our debts. In this scenario, Social Security doesn't. There's no government.
I mean, I love, by the way,
anymore.
I love people say, oh, well, at least Social Security's safe.
Right.
Folks, Social Security is not safe.
Nothing.
I mean, how can the government pay benefits? They may pay you benefits, but the dollars they pay you aren't going to be worth anything.
So let me go to another topic.